Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're taking a look at a company called AWD-IT. It is a United Kingdom based company, and I know a whole lot of my audience probably isn't going to care, but I had someone in Discord talk about it. And I'm like, you know what the hell, I'll throw it together in case anybody's actually out there looking at buying a gaming computer from this company. They probably ship to other parts in Europe, considering the UK is a fairly small piece of land. And today we'll be talking about some of their lower end PCs. Now, I'd like to talk about some of their higher end ones here in a little bit. But in terms of their lower end ones, they're fine. I think their lower end, this is their Goose. That's a weird naming scheme. But I would like to see more PCs like this in the American market. I'm actually seeing some relatively newer parts that are very good value, like the Ryzen 3 3100, which is an amazing budget CPU. And as well, we've got a GTX 1650 Super, a pretty decent graphics card, nothing to, write home about, but it's still pretty good. It'll play all your games at 1080p just fine. But I'm really not 100% sure why they call it a Windows 10 Flight Simulator gaming PC. I don't know if this is like the recommended specs or something like that. But I know Flight Simulator is pretty rough to run, and I'm not 100% sure how this machine would actually run it. Now, in terms of specs, again, we really went over the major parts. Motherboard is, I assume, some A320 chipset, just a lower end board. And then for RAM, we are actually getting 8 gigs, but this isn't that bad because it's actual dual channel. For those of you who don't know, and I feel like I say this in every video that has an AMD processor in it, AMD really likes having dual channel memory as well as having fast memory in order to keep the Infinity Fabric clocks up in the CPU, and keeping the Infinity Fabric clock speeds up is going to reduce the latency in between components of the CPU, therefore making the CPU faster. So you want to have fast RAM and you want to have dual channel when you're talking about AMD. Now, these aren't fast modules at all. These are 2666. I'd probably recommend 3200 megahertz memory. So it says your drive's a Maxtor Z1, and from what I see, it's actually a Kingston drive. I'm not 100% sure what they're doing here, but it doesn't really matter. It's 240 gigs. It's a fairly low amount of storage. You can probably put like 1 to 2 games on here, considering how much games take up nowadays. And all the other stuff is pretty standard. You can choose your internet security stuff. I'd probably pick no security. You get Windows 10 Home, and you can upgrade to Windows 10 Pro for a pretty decent chunk of change. I think that's close to like $100. And then you can choose your internet options. I would never pick any of the USB options. I'd go for one of the Wi-Fi cards. I'm not 100% sure how good this one is. It's a Tendia, and I haven't really liked Tendia. But it really looks like what they're offering here. It's a fairly cheap brand, and then you can pick your peripherals after that. Now, it looks like these guys build all their computers made to order, so every time that you order your computer, they don't really have it on a shelf. They have to put it together themselves, which I guess is kind of nice, since you probably know your things are going to be all fairly up to date. So I guess that's nice, but you're also going to have some delay when it comes to shipping. So overall, I think it's not terrible. This is actually around a $640 gaming PC if you just take the $499 that it originally cost. Not terrible for the price point, not amazing. That's probably around what you're going to get for American pricing. But one thing that I actually pretty much just dislike about the company is that on some of their higher end machines, they really just kind of boast the main processor's performance and then leave the rest of the stuff mostly pretty garbage. So what I mean by that is by making, the CPU stick out, the GPU stick out, and then you've got your, really good RAM, you've got a really nice case here. With those things just by themselves, it makes this price point fairly appealing. This is close to $1,000 US. But when you start going through the list, they really don't include a whole lot. You still have that standard 240 gigabyte SSD, which is definitely not acceptable at this price point. And if you upgrade it, it gets fairly expensive. If you're just picking, a 480 gigabyte hard drive, it's still a fairly good add-on. As well, for your drives, I'd probably go at least with 2 terabytes, and that's still fairly expensive. I mean, $51 US, not that crazy. That's actually probably what this costs in US dollars, but for Europe pricing, it's kind of crazy. Now, the one thing that really gets me with this computer is you choose your operating system and you have the option at none. So my question is if you choose the none option, do you just get a standard version of Windows without any sort of keys? Or do you just not get an operating system whatsoever? Like when you boot up your PC, you just go into the motherboard BIOS. You don't have anything you boot into. If so, I dislike this. if you do get a installed version of Windows without a key, I do like this because then you're able to save some money and just buy your own key off the market. Probably would not go for the Windows 10 Pro because 131 pounds for a stupid just key is kind of off the walls. In any case, if it were me buying this PC, I would go with none regardless. But it's kind of odd because most computer companies, especially in the United States, will always include an operating system, mostly because people don't like it when they go into their computer and turn it on and see something that they don't understand, which is most of the time the BIOS. It's usually not that complicated, but when people see something different than the Windows logo, they freak out. So American companies kind of understand that, and they're like, yeah, we'll just throw Windows in with everything. And it's usually Windows 10 Home, and they kind of include it in the price. And then you get kind of the same options here. So summary time. Do I think this company is good? Do I think it's bad? I don't think it's either of those. I think their value PCs are fairly okay. And another thing is, you guys can blame my ignorance in this market if you guys are saying, oh no, that's actually really good value for the UK, maybe not for America, but you know, our stuff's a lot more scarce here. We can't get that kind of stuff, and if that's true, then I'm sorry. I'm just ignorant about the supply and demand of stuff over in the UK and in Europe in general. Over here in America, we're doing pretty well. I think all this stuff, all the hardware stuff's getting in. Most of the time, we have access to that kind of stuff. But I definitely don't think it's a terrible company. I think that their higher end stuff could use some work, like the PC that we just took a look at. I think it's really odd that they're overcharging for a lot of those other stuff, and by advertising it as a 750-pound machine, wherein realistically, if you actually want a decent gaming PC, you're probably going to be spending close to 1,000 pounds for all the upgrades and stuff like that. It really kind of makes some weird marketing questions. It's like, well, you're advertising it at 750 pounds, and I guess that's true, but if you actually want a decent gaming PC, you're really going to have to fork up a good amount more money. So there's not really a whole lot I can say here. I probably would recommend the Goose to anyone who's looking to buy a pretty decent gaming PC. Again, $650 really isn't that bad for a computer like that. And as well, it comes with the operating system, which I didn't know that was something that was optional for a whole lot of these companies. But yeah, guys, sorry for the short vid. I'm just trying to get this stuff out. I know this video is going to be very niche for a lot of you guys. I know most of my audience is in the United States. But yeah, you guys can, go check out more videos if you want to. Leave a like, subscribe, do whatever. Hop by live streams when I end up doing them more. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.